The thing that surprised me least about the election was the sharp red shift in these big cities. Because if you just talk to anybody who lives in them, they are furious. And this idea that like, oh no, the economy is actually good or crime is actually down, this is all just Fox News, like shut the up with that.
Congratulations, everyone. Libs have caught on to something that we figured out 2 years ago. Crime is a problem. And if you just tell people, voters specifically, that it's not a problem, and it was way worse in the 90s, so you shouldn't be complaining, there will be backlash. There will be blood, okay? And so here we are, Ezra Klein was on Pod Save America to reflect on the disastrous election cycle that we just experienced for the Democratic Party. And he touched on how poorly blue cities have been run by progressive leaders, gotta keep it real. And so here's more of his argument, here's more of his revelations, and then we'll break it down further.
The sense of disorder rising, right? Not just crime, but homeless encampments, trash on the streets, people jumping turnstiles in subways, crazy people on the streets. You just talk to people and they're mad about it. They feel it's different than it used to be. I mean, in San Francisco, like the fury is overwhelming. And you see that it's not just the presidential level. London Breed, the SF mayor, just lost re-election. In Oakland, they recalled the mayor. A bunch of the progressive DAs across the country were recalled or beaten in re-election campaigns. If Eric Adams has a lot of problems, but if he were obviously on the ballot, he would almost certainly, it seems to me, lose. You have to be able to govern well. People don't follow politics, but they live in the place they live.
Infuriating, because Ezra, where were you? Where were you even a few months ago? Okay, because it was very public and it was a big deal when everyone was dogpiling me as the big baddie for bringing up these issues. So you didn't have to come and support me 2 years ago. You didn't have to do it a year ago. But how about a month ago? Now all of a sudden, after the Democrats suffer a shellacking of the century, Ezra Klein has his come to Jesus moment and realizes that there's a real problem with crime in these blue cities. Congratulations.
Well. Anna Kasparian is having her I told you so moment, okay? And the reason why is because the left didn't just suffer a major loss at the national level with Trump landsliding Kamala Harris, but they also suffered some major losses at the local level as well too, because these liberal cities have voted more Republican than ever before in this election. And also you have some liberal cities, like for example, Oakland and San Francisco, experiencing a major pushback against the far left progressive woke agenda, specifically when it comes to being soft on crime. And that has resulted in their mayors and DAs losing their jobs. Take a look.
It is historic. Both Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price and Oakland Mayor Sheng Tao appear headed for recall.
It marks the first time voters have ousted leadership from either of those positions. NBC Barry's Relina Jones has the latest on what happens next.
While the counting of ballots continues, the results are clear. Voters overwhelmingly supporting the recalls of both Oakland Mayor Sheng Tao and Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price. Mayor Tao issued a statement Friday saying she plans to support a smooth transition.
We have to keep the city moving forward. We have to show a strong front and make sure that, as the mayor said, as the council president said, that there is a smooth transition for whoever's going to be the next mayor of Oakland.
Council President Nikki Fortunato Bass is expected to take over as interim mayor if she does not win her race for a supervisor seat. Come January, there's a possibility a new council president will then take on the role until a special election in spring. Councilmember Kevin Jenkins says he's focused on moving the city forward regardless of who takes over next.
The priority is going to be rebalancing the budget, ensuring that the next council has a balanced budget to work with. After that, looking at the structural deficit that we have and doing what we need to do to right-size the ship.
DA Pamela Price and her campaign say they're waiting for every vote to be tallied. The latest number shows 64% in favor of her being removed from office. President of the Board of Supervisors, Nate Miley, expects the board will appoint someone within the DA's office until the Board of Supervisors agrees on a process to officially replace DA Price.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, the people on the left were boohoo, whining and crying and getting upset when people on the right rightfully, correctly, factually stated that no, crime is up. And this is why people feel like crime is out of control because crime is actually up. But according to the left, no, that's a lie. That's a lie.
America, hold on, Keith. The reality in America is that crime is massively up.
Crime is not massively up. That's a lie.
You're
lying, Congressman. You're lying.
We already know that there is.
The FBI just released data this week that crime is going down.
already know that.
Oh my God! Why do you, Abby? Why do you let this man lie on your national television like this? This is not right.
You may not
You're a liar,
you may not,
Congressman.
no, I am
You're
not,
lying
because you're lying to the American people now. And so I want to be respectful of what you're trying to say.
Hang on a second.
Go ahead.
You would just let me talk. Hold on.
It's not silly when people.
We have to, Congressman.
I'm sorry.
Give me
I'm sorry,
1 second,
Abby.
please.
Go ahead. Of course.
We have to deal in facts here.
Thank you.
Okay. It's clear as day. The FBI put out statistics for 2023. The trend line is going down. If you don't believe the FBI, independent people who look at these numbers say the same thing. There was a spike in crime during the pandemic. That is true. Nobody's disputing that. But the reality is that crime is going down. You don't have to twist the facts to make the case that people feel unsafe. Just say people feel unsafe.
Yeah, I follow politics, and I also live in the place I live. And I've been furious for several years now. And everyone immediately, oh, Anna's just a secret right-winger. Anna's just a secret right-winger. No. I'm not a secret right-winger. I see the dysfunction, and I see working class Americans getting their catalytic converters stolen, okay, getting their homes broken into, getting assaulted on the subway or the train. And I'm supposed to just shut my mouth about it and tell everybody everything's fine because it's not the 90s? No, I'm not gonna wait until after the election to talk about how it's a problem. I'm gonna talk about it well before the election, so maybe Democrats, maybe progressives can recalibrate. But that's the thing about the left. They don't believe in recalibrating, okay? They think they know it all. They think they're the best. They think that anyone who crosses them or tweaks them or critiques them is the bad guy. And congratulations, in the state of California, Donald Trump flipped 10 blue counties into red counties. Let's take a look at the map. This is the electoral map. First one on the left-hand side, of course, is from 2020. And then, oh, would you look at that? One of the most liberal parts of the country has become increasingly red. I wonder why that happened.
Okay, in New York, last time Biden won, Trump lost by 24. This time he only lost by 12. Remember, he was talking about how he's going to win New York, and of course he wasn't going to win New York, and that was outrageous. But what he was getting at is, I'm going to do a lot better than you expect, and he did. Except there was one show that expected it, and it was us. And
wrong.
Look, I think that our advantage is that we're not bullied by the media gaslighting industrial complex. And so there's two different factors here. So there's the extreme left, identitarian left, whatever we're calling them these days, right? So those guys say, no, crime is imaginary, it doesn't affect anyone, it's blah, 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 right? And I'm like, look, guys, first of all, look at the stats. The stats are clear. In fact, I was on Hassan's show, my nephew, and he pulled up the stats as we were doing the debate on it, and the stats showed that I was right. So there's no question about it. And then you go talk to real people. Can you guys please, everybody overused the term touch grass, but go talk to non-political people. So I go to a picnic or a barbecue or whatever it is, and as soon as I got non-political people, I immediately ask them what they're thinking. And in California and New York and San Francisco and Philly and Washington, the first thing that would come out of their mouth is, I hate the crime. And I asked them, what do you think about Biden? This is now 2 years ago, a year ago, et cetera. And they're like, obviously too old. What are they doing? It's crazy, right? So, but when we would tell both the identitarian left and the corporate Democrats, you guys are crazy. Biden's way too old and crime is real and people are really pissed about it. They're like, no, that doesn't suit our purposes. Since that's not in our ideology, we reject it out of hand. Well, if you keep rejecting facts, well, this is where you're gonna wind up.
100%.
So, all right, I'll get to Ezra Klein in a second.
So I want to go to a segment featuring Harry Enton because they did their post-election analysis and they noticed a trend when it came to the blue parts, like the bluest parts of the country, and what they have noticed following the 2024 presidential election. So let's take a look at that.
Donald Trump put up the best Republican performance for a Republican nominee for president in at least 20 years, if not the entire 21st century. We're talking about Chicago, Los Angeles, New York City, San Francisco. Across the map, Donald Trump put up historically strong numbers for Republican candidate, for president in places that truthfully, if you had asked me 8 years ago, I would have never thought possible.
No, I mean, it is really stunning. So what exactly is driving it?
What's driving it? You know, I think immigration, one of the things you mentioned earlier on in that last segment, is part of it, but I think crime is a big part of it as well.
Yep.
If you look at Gallup polling and you ask Democrats nationwide, are you satisfied or dissatisfied with our efforts to control and bring down the crime rate? What you see is the dissatisfaction number now versus a decade ago. Look at that, the unsatisfied number from 35% to 58%. The satisfied number dropped by 20 points.
That's okay. Just go to them and tell them everything's fine. Crime isn't as bad as it was in the 90s. That's not politics, okay? That's not trying to win. That's digging your heels in and insisting that you're right, even as there's widespread concern over these issues. These are, look, the main role of government is to protect its citizens. And in these situations, in these blue cities, when the public doesn't feel that Democratic leadership is doing enough to protect working class people, okay, they're not going to favor the Democrats. And as they're being gaslit, they're just going to increasingly get angry. How do I know that? Because I've experienced it firsthand myself. And so ask Cenk, I mean, over the last few years, month after month, the anger just continues to like compound. Because it's like, we are headed toward that iceberg. Are you guys going to adjust? Are you guys gonna turn the wheel? Or are you just gonna go barreling toward that iceberg? And Democrats, with the help of progressives on this issue, were like, nah, we like the iceberg. We're gonna barrel for it.
I said,
yeah,